Dun 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 dun. Welcome to a quick update, the video series where I share with you everything I've been working on in the past week with no promises or expectations as to me completing any of it. I make things out of paper and draw pictures because I enjoy the process and I don't need to complete or finish something to find value in it. So, what did I work on this week? Drawing, mostly. I just felt like drawing a lot this week. When I don't upload for a while, it's mostly because I've just got a bunch of drawings that I want to do, and even a drawing like this would probably take 8 hours to finish. This one definitely would have. This is something I've been working on recently, and recently is in like the last couple months, and that's just anatomy, where I've just gone through the videos on the YouTube channel Proko. Should totally check them out if you want to learn how to draw better. And just learnt proper human anatomy and just how to draw things like the adductors and the glutes, and I had no idea. I didn't know so much of this stuff, and it's so helpful. So this takes a lot of time though, like actually studying and then drawing the diagrams myself, so I'm practicing as I'm learning, not just taking in the information, has been huge. And I do want to complete this little anatomy booklet with all the lessons. All right, back to where we started. So these are just some of the ones I've completed, as you've seen on my Instagram, hopefully, which you should totally check out, link in the description. Yeah, I just felt like drawing a lot this week. And when I don't upload for a while, it's usually because I've just been drawing images like this, which would totally take 6 to 8 hours each. And, you know, that's not really shown or known. And because all my drawings, even when in a pose like this, are in scale. They are in scale, so I know exactly how big a character would be based on the drawing. Based on the drawing, I can see how they would actually scale with the models I've already made. So that's a part of the reason why the process takes so long. For even a pose like this for Killer Queen is still in the height that I'd make the model of, with the head still being the exact same size and width. So these are essentially my blueprints. And so every time I draw a character, even if it's not going to be a blueprint like the Venom one here, I still draw them in scale just because it's nice to have everything be consistent and fit with each other. And yes, that means even Volcanion and the little Bulbasaur are in scale, because let's face it, having a Pokemon by itself is kind of cool, but having a cute little Bulbasaur in scale with Thanos is awesome, and really the basis of everything that I do. Yeah, and then these are the drawings where I just have an idea for the pose that I want a character to be in. Then I sort of just start to lay it out here. Or sometimes I'll just do a kind of blueprint drawing with a straight front view and a straight side view like I've done with Asuka here. But I don't normally color these. I just had to for Asuka because she's adorable. Yeah. Oh, and then here's the anatomy models coming soon to a channel near you, hopefully mine, where I've taken my understanding of anatomy and tried to apply it to a model. Tokyo Ghoul's cool. Oh, yes, but these are the ones I've been working on this week. See, a drawing like this one can't really be used as a reference for the model because we're not really looking at any part of her body except maybe the leg straight on. So I don't know the proper length or width or anything because it's all warped by perspective. So I do something like this, which is where I essentially just draw a character naked from front, side, and even the back view if I deem it necessary, which I have done for Queen as well. And then, but yeah, so a lot of these drawings, this is what I do. I'll just have an idea for a drawing and I'll take 30 minutes to measure out the proportions and then sort of just block out the pose that I want them to be in. Because if I have enough information like I do with this Katakuri drawing here, then I can come back to that in the future and immediately know exactly what I intended with the illustration. So here's just some of the ones I've done. Shout out to anyone in the comments who can list every single character in order. See, even this one, this is going to be a one-piece poster of all the emperors. And even then, this Luffy is 100% in scale. So is this Blackbeard, despite being at an angle, and so is this Shanks. Can't help it. Can't help it. It's just really important to me to grab the scale of everything. And so after completing my Blastoise head, as you saw in my previous video, I just had the Pokemon bug, and I just had to see what another Pokemon head might look like. And Mewtwo's, despite the stuff up in the shading here, Mewtwo's head is a super cool design, and his colors, yeah, I just had to draw him. Throw in a Mew for good measure, because Mew is adorable. No promises on when I'll make a Mewtwo complete model, but I think there's a good chance I'll make at least his head at some point soon. So that's one thing I've been doing this week. Also, I gave Jotaro his legs. He is going to be about 24.5 centimeters tall, and compared to existing characters that are of like a regular human size, he's going to be massive. Say, Bruno here is like your average 6-foot male, basically, and Jotaro is like a whole head above him. Even taller than Superman and Kenshiro. But of course, that's just the regular size humans. Compared to the big boys like Thanos, he's still just tiny. And then there's Katakuri, who is as tall as Thanos despite crouching down. Gotta love One Piece. And just to get everyone in the shot, here's the Stoys and the Venom. Speaking of Thanos though, here's the progress I've made on him in the last week. Thanos has a right latissimus, and it's very roundish, like it's very turtly. I wasn't intending to make Thanos this buff, like this is definitely, like I was intending to make him bigger than he was in the film, but this is a lot. But the reason being is just that I overestimated how much of a gap it was going to be between the structure piece having to meet the torso like this. Like that is a lot of area to cover for just muscle. That's all that is. And I wasn't going to like begin to redo the structure pieces and everything on Thanos. I was just gonna roll with what I had decided earlier and see how it turns out. So I think Thanos having this big round turtle back fits, and I haven't made a character with a back this big ever. For Thanos' gauntlet, I'm actually going to be taking like 2 flat pieces like this that are cut around like that, and then all these little cuts in the paper will fold together to create that little bit of a curve that I want, and this will fold around this ring like that, will go over the wrist, and then this will begin to wrap around like that. The problem I'm running into is that if I want it to be able to bend and clear his big old bicep there, this part's going to have to slide down to make room for that bicep, especially if I drop the forearm lower. And so really, I have 3 options. 1, I make the forearm portion of his gauntlet shorter and stockier, which I don't want to do. 2, I just make it so to clear his bicep, I can just slide the wrist forward a little bit, elongating the forearm to allow for that extra room, which is just going to result in some really long forearms, and I don't think I'm fond of that either. Or 3, the complicated version, I incorporate some kind of sliding mechanism so this second section of the forearm part can drop in to clear his bicep. And of course, me being me, I'm going to go for the complicated version. So I'll just start with a tube, wrap a small pivot around that one, flatten the whole thing out a bit so it doesn't take up too much space in the gap between the gauntlet and his forearm. And my idea is to really just have this stick on the inside here like that. And then this part will just stick in here. And now, so it's going to have to stick low. Yep, that's how it's going to get done. So this will just go low down here, and when the gauntlet retracts, this will come up like that, and then when the gauntlet extends, it'll go up like that. And so the final little touches, I'll just trim this down because it really doesn't need to be that long, and it being longer is just risking exposure. Don't want the joint to be exposed. These things have to move like magic on their own, not like they have paper joints or anything made in them. The whole point when you get good is that nobody sees the joints. They don't exist. So when they move, people think it's magic. And this final little piece here is going to be a blocker. I used to always make blockers for everything. Then I realized you don't need to, and it's kind of more fun to have the limbs be removable. But in this case, I don't want the gauntlet accidentally falling apart. So by wrapping this paper and sticking this to the lever, essentially, this cylinder, what happens is when the pivot, it hits it and then it can't go anywhere. So now the gauntlet will only be able to go so far and it won't accidentally slide off. And then this pivot, as I just said, will be stuck in here, and we'll call it a day's work. Yes! Oh, that was way easier than I was expecting it to be. But I can't say the same for his damn traps and his fat shoulders. Jesus, Thanos, lose some weight, buddy. I had to redo the structure pieces for his shoulders, or for his traps here, actually, sorry, to allow for his arm to actually rotate. you see, it's fine now. The arm can go all the way around and then it can extend all the way out. But when these pieces are moving all the way down to here, as they're supposed to, his big fat front deltoid and lateral deltoid is going to have nowhere to go. So I altered them is to put a little joint in there that can rotate up like that. So the idea is when his arm sits up, these will be able to sit on top of them, which, I don't know. And just getting these joints and this thing semi-solid was a real pain. Oh, and I've also done his other back, and I'm still yet to remove some of the tape there, but whatever. But otherwise, that's the progress I've made on Thanos. You can see he now has his chest and the upper chest too. The back, as I said, the change in the structure pieces to the traps, and also most of the Infinity Gauntlet. I do still need to add a few extra details here and there. It's amazing how just adding this wrist section has added it just looks so much more complete, especially when on his actual arm. He's too big to fit in the camera, god damn it. Still does look kind of long, but I mean, it lines up with his other arm. It's fine, it's not a bad look, I don't think. And like I just showed you earlier, the gauntlet does still have the gimmick where this part, once it hits the bicep, can still drop down to allow for that extra range of motion. Getting a full 90-degree bend in the elbow, which is pretty good considering how bulky this character is. And you can still, of course, drop the elbow down and then move it up further. And then if you need to extend the gauntlet, I guess, at the wrist. So, you know, that does not look too bad whatsoever with the big round turtle back. And well, that'll do it. That'll do it for my video. Thanos he's coming along, and his legs still have nothing on him. Anyway, it is also just fascinating to me how big this actual gauntlet would be compared to a regular size human like Spider-Man. Like, that's just insane. Or someone like Goku. Man, this is a bad idea. I mean, it doesn't really fit very well, but geez, like you can see. Oh, that's fun. That's real fun. Okay. And that's it. That's the stuff that I worked on this week. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope this was valuable to you in some way, and thank you for your time and attention as always. I do appreciate it. And you'll see me next time.